What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today I have something from Eachine. It seems that Eachine has released the Sphere Link 180p VTX, and what does all that mean? It's on my SpeedyBee B25 right here, and it's HD, it's open source, but the entire system itself, like everything here, aside from the drone, it costs $60 for this kit. So this is one of the cheapest kits that are out there right now. So the ground station is like on GitHub. I'll put a link down below to the GitHub for you guys. You can download it, install the drivers and that stuff on your tablet or any of your Android devices. So you just plug this in, USB-C right there at the data cable. Make sure you're using that. This is the receiver to the phone. Comes with 2 dipoles. I didn't have to do any firmware updates or any OpenIpc configurator, but I think the coolest thing is I just plugged it in and it worked. It just came up after like 30 seconds. It does take a minute for it to turn on, but it's like the cheapest open source HD system. And if you're somebody new, like who is it for? It's for people that are like, don't have goggles yet, that maybe want to fly FPV in the backyard. You could put this on a fixed wing. It is 800 milliwatt also.
Yeah, I feel like this would be a great thing for any random little project.
Like a cheap, without having to buy DJI goggles. And that's kind of who this is for. This is for people who don't have Goggles 3 and they're not ready to invest into DJI Air Unit Pro or the light version. But OpenIpc has been around for a while, and it's just been a progress over the past couple of years that we're finally to the point where we're starting to see some kind of plug and play options for OpenIpc. So this takes all of the setup and everything else out of that, but still gives you controls like DJI to be able to go into update your firmware, play around with the configurator. There is a Mac and PC version of the configurator as well. So you can pretty much put it on fixed wing, quad, or even one of the smaller style quads as well, or even a 5-inch. As far as like freestyle, probably not that much for FPV freestyle. There is, we did notice a little bit of lag.
Could be fun like on RC car.
RC cars,
Or
crawler.
a crawler. There's a lot of options you could put this on. I don't know. It seems kind of laggy.
I mean,
Frame rate's kind of
the frame rate is not super high.
great.
And
So-
he's flown analog FPV for over 10 years. So he's pretty in tune with like looking at this system and seeing that there is a little bit of lag.
Yeah, it's got a great picture, but I've noticed that it was really choppy.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
So
really choppy. It seemed kind of laggy, but for 40 or 60 bucks, whatever it is.
yeah, $43 for the VTX and the camera system. And then for $60, you get the camera system and you get the receiver with the 2 dipole antennas. You can upgrade these later too, but today Diego and I just flew it around the yard and we tested it back behind the shed over there, where I've tested a bunch of analog. I've seen breakup on analog, and we've also seen breakup on some of the DJI systems behind the shed. So we're gonna fly this behind the shed for you guys, all in real time. And after that, I'll take you to the bench and I'll show you what's on this, or what's in this box right here. What do you get? 60 bucks. HD FPV system. Pretty cool. So let's do it. Let's do some flying. Here we go. Okay, so first thing I'm gonna do is make sure my radio's on, plug in the quad. So everything's good. Let's go ahead and power up and take off. So the video looks pretty good. Now, as far as like real time, like how real time it is, we're gonna find out once we get to the back of the yard. Because if I hit something and then it makes a noise a moment later, we know that, yeah, it's a lot of lag. But we'll see what I can get away with. I mean, I'm flying on a 4S 850 right now. Just kind of feeling it out. It's a little jumpy. There's a little bit of wind today, but I'm just gonna go straight back behind the shed over here. And we're gonna see how it breaks up. See if it gives us any lag. Try to avoid these witch's fingers, these branches through here. So I don't know if you saw any breakup, Diego. Did you see any?
Looks remarkably pretty well. Like I said, you know what you were asking earlier, $43. That's pretty.
It's pretty good for 43 bucks, but like I didn't really see any lag or like pixelization behind the shed. And I have seen breakup with the DJI system back here momentarily. But I didn't see any on the screen right there. And you guys are seeing what I'm recording on the Android phone.
And it looks like you're using dipole antennas on here.
Yeah, we're using dipole, so it's just stock out of the box. Like the thing about this is too, you don't even need goggles to start. A lot of people have Android phones already. Look at that, I'm directly behind the shed. I'm gonna hit something in a second, I think. Oh, I just tagged a tree. So let's go back behind here. So we're still behind the shed. I'm taking some more gap chances here. Through the trees. Let's go back behind the shed one more time. I'm not seeing any breakup back there. And that's like pretty good penetration testing. So right there. The shed between, oh my God, there's a bee flying up next to me. All right, we go behind the chicken coop here. It's taking it super slow. It's different flying with like, oh God. It's different flying looking at the phone versus like a pair of goggles. That feels a little weird, but. I always tell people to start out line of sight first. And you'll be a better pilot, like a better FPV pilot. So it feels pretty good.
So 43 bucks gets you the VTX and the receiver?
Yeah, so $43 is the entire kit.
Wow.
With the USB cable.
Wow.
The camera. So I'm not mad at it. Let's pick up some speed. So as far as like racing with this, I wouldn't really say this was a racing system.
Yeah, you can tell that the frame rate is really
yeah,
low.
The frame rate is pretty slow. It's not gonna be like anywhere near analog real time. Flew right between those branches. Oh. So, and yeah, this is just kind of a temporary setup. If you wanted to fly this FPV, you could use a pair of like Google Cardboard goggles and just slap your phone in there, and then you'd be flying FPV. So, I mean, people are putting this on planes. They're FPV planes. They're doing
throw this on a crawler.
OpenIpc. You can put it on a crawler.
Oh man, you could have a lot of fun without having to invest too much into even an analog system for 43 bucks for your phone. This is amazing.
Yeah, for their price, I don't think there's anything cheaper out there right now. There's a little bit of lag. I hit that tree branch and it kind of
gave it a hiccup.
It stalled
over the
and then it came back.
Ridge of the roof.
I've got a little more battery. Uh-oh. See how it works up there. I don't think it's gonna really have any lag. So, I mean, some of you guys might be like thinking like, could I freestyle this? I mean, maybe if you're kind of like a beginner freestyler, but I don't know that it would be great for freestyle. I'll test that coming up. We do have some more OpenIpc systems coming. I know Eachine is going to, Emacs USA is going to make one as well. They have a new version of their Wave coming out, but it won't be this cheap. This is pretty cool. It's just cool that I plugged everything in and it works, because over the past 6 months, I've been playing around with OpenIpc, and there's a whole bunch of stuff that we had to configure first before anything would work, and it was kind of a pain. So it's just nice to see something work out of the box. So I think we should go back to the bench and let's talk about what's included. Let me show you kind of how I have mine set up. And then I'll give you my final thoughts on a $43 FPV system. Here we go. All right, guys, let's go ahead and check out like what the Eachine Sphere Link is all about. It is a 1080p HD VTX system with a camera. It has the receiver that you can get with it or without it. With it on the website, it comes in about $43. With the receiver and everything you see here, all the cables in the box, also the USB-C adapter for plugging into OpenIpc configurator is around $62.99 on the website. So I think they have like some kind of flash deal going on that right now. But this is the VTX right here, or excuse me, the receiver. This would basically go on your goggles. If you have any type of USB-C port on your goggles that you could get input into, then you could see it inside your goggles with that input. You can also do it with an Android smartphone or any type of device straight into the bottom here. And you're going to use the app called Pixel Pilot. So go into the Google Play Store, try to find it there. If you can't find it there, I'll try to put a link down for Pixel Pilot down below. It is in the instructions and also on the wiki, that link. And they have a QR code here in the box that's talking all about like how to set this up with Android, different various devices that you can use for ground stations like a Windows laptop. You can also use a Macintosh version. I think there's a Mac version on the OpenIBC GitHub. And it also talks about the serial drivers for programming as well. So all kinds of options for OpenIPC. Now, if you are trying to update the firmware on your VTX, you want to connect to your Wi-Fi and you want to find the IP address of the VTX on your quad in your gateway. So that means that you're going to open up the software, fill the VTX IP address, port 22, and the password is going to be 12345. And after that, with the configurator, you can do what you want as far as reflashing the firmware on board or making changes to the software. So this is the receiver that's going to be on the ground station, 38.4 grams. And all I did was take a little piece of VHB and just put it on the back of the phone. That way I had it nice and clear, and total of 38.3 grams. And a lot of that's going to have to do with how good the processing power is for your frame rate. So if you decide to spend a little bit of extra money, say an extra $5 and get the dual core, that's what I would do, just to make a better suggestion. I think you're going to have a better experience with the dual core version of this VTX. Now you guys probably saw my wiring before in this video and you thought, oh my God, that looks like a giant mess. I don't want to hook this up and I don't want to deal with this, but let me just walk you through how easy this is, okay? So don't get intimidated and walk away from it too quickly because it's kind of pretty stupid easy to hook up. So the first thing you see on top is the physical fan, and I'll just zoom down here so you can see a little closer up. This cable right here comes in the box. This one comes in the box. These are two ground cables. These are two red wires for our 2 to 6S, and you're going to solder both of these wires. And what I did was I went to the other end over here and I twirled them together, soldered them together, snipped them back, and then I soldered both of these power cables directly to where the battery is, to the battery terminals on the flight controller. Once you do that, you know, again, you can power it from 2 to 6S. So it has a pretty wide voltage range. And then down here, if we look at this schematic, we have this cable system right here that came in the box, and it just has a JST connector here, just like this, just plugs into this port right here. And this part goes straight to the bottom of the camera. So this is the bottom of the camera. This is the top of the camera. This is a little heat sink off the back, which is nice. And that cable that I just showed you coming from the VTX just plugs into the bottom here with this JST harness. It looks like pins down right there. And now I have a connection to the VTX. All that stuff is wired up through the camera. And then the only other solder that you have to make is coming off the camera right here. So this harness has open ends down here on the flight controller side of things. And once you plug this in, you have your TX and RX which are both of these two color cables, the white and the yellow here. And then this one is the ground. And what you're going to do is solder that onto a ground spot tab on your flight controller, this one to TX and this one to RX. And if you don't see OSD, say you put it on TX3 and RX3, which would be ports tab, serial tab 3. So just enable serial on your ports, whichever serial RX you have it soldered up to, and then it should show up your OSD. If it does not, switch these two wires on the flight controller side of things, and then restart Betaflight, put it back in there, restart the quad, and hopefully you will see it start to pop up and you'll see OSD on the screen. And so here, right here on the flight controller is where I have RX and TX right there, and I have that black ground cable right there. So just 3 wires hook up everything you need to set up on the camera side of things. That's pretty simple. And one other thing they included in the box was the USB adapter, and this is so simple. It plugs into here. This cable plugs into the left side on the back side of the camera, right here next to the heatsink. Once you have that plugged in, you can download your software and you connect your data cable, which will be a USB data cable, to your PC, and then you can make changes inside the OpenIpc IPC configurator and update the firmware and all kinds of good stuff there. So the VTX itself is 21.2 grams, maybe a couple more grams for the dipole antennas that connect to UFL connectors on each side. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I think this is for people who just aren't ready to spend the money on DJI Goggles 3 or Goggles 2 or the whole DJI ecosystem. You can run this HD FPV system for under $100 as long as you have an Android phone or a tablet somewhere, or even a PC. You can make that a ground station, or you could do it on a Mac. I'll put the link down below again to the GitHub resources so you can download all the different software. The OpenIpc configurator is out there for firmware updates. So there's a whole lot of options out there, and this is just Eachine's first stab at it with the Sphere Link. And I think it's pretty cool that this is available because I feel like it's decent enough for beginners. It's not that hard to set up. There's only a few wires that you really need to solder up, and you have the option to put it on anything. And I see this going on a fixed wing. I really like the idea of this being on the fixed wing because this has a built-in fan. This is not my overall setup for having it on the quad by any means. This is just for this test the way it is there because it's pretty precarious the way I have it set up. But when you set it flat, the fan does clear the surface, which is kind of cool. It has like a little ridge around the top of it so that the fan doesn't touch unless you landed on a rock. But you're not really going to be flying it like I am. Again, I'm just flying it like this for you guys today to test out, to see if this works. And the coolest thing to me is that when I plugged it in on UART3, it was just already set up and working. So right there, it froze up, and then I can plug it back in for you in real time, show you how quick it comes up. And this thing is 800 milliwatt. So you could definitely put it on an FPV plane if you wanted to do that. It is MAVLink protocol based for RC drones, which is pretty cool. So let's see how long it takes to come back up on the screen on my Android phone. See if that takes about, oh, that was less than 30 seconds. But I love it. Full OSD, everything was ready to go. And I was lucky because my B25 sitting here already had UART3 with the the VTX already enabled on UART3. So everything just came up for me today. It was like the greatest luck for this build for you guys. But hopefully you kind of saw something new today, you learned something new on the channel. And if you did, by all means, please do use my link down below in the video description and grab one of these and play with it. This is kind of what this hobby is all about, right? Playing around, experimenting, and kind of having fun with DIY projects. And this definitely be a cool DIY project if you're looking to put this on a plane or whatever you'd like to put it on. Crawler, plane, quad. You can have some fun with it without buying into the whole DJI ecosystem. So pretty cool. I'm glad that Eachine came out with their own version, the Sphere Link. Pretty neat. But again, guys, I appreciate you hanging out with me today. And Diego, again, as always, take care, everybody. Please do subscribe on the channel. I'll bring you more news and reviews coming up. I'm Justin Davis. I will see you on the next one.